Before making this American Dream video, I believed the American Dream was another phrase like rags to riches. I believed if you had money, you'd be happy. I was quick to find out the American Dream was different for everyone. It wasn't always about money, where you live, or how you look. It was about happiness, true happiness.
Once upon a time, at the dawn of the industrial age, millions flooded our shores with a dream. A dream to enjoy political freedom and economic freedom, to live in a land with liberty and justice for all. And our government took action when Wall Street wiped out the dream. For the 30 years after the Second World War, our Uncle Sam made us a patriotic promise. If you worked hard, played by the rules, you can make a better life for your family. When workers united to win better wages and working conditions, the government told business not to interfere. When their sons returned home from war, the government gave these veterans a shot at a college degree, a good home, and their own business. All that, a good job, a good education, a nice home, plus the protection of Social Security and Medicare when they grew old. Citizen activists and active government made sure that as the country grew richer, everyone shared in our nation's prosperity. But the CEOs of big corporations and Wall Street speculators wanted more pie for themselves. Starting in the 1970s, they tied Uncle Sam's hands and rewrote all the rules. They de-taxed themselves by slashing income taxes, capital gains taxes, and the top marginal income tax rates. They deunionized their businesses by suppressing the labor movement. And they deregulated the environment and fancy financial transactions like those subprime mortgage derivatives that brought the world to the brink of economic collapse. The end result? CEOs of big corporations and Wall Street speculators kept more of the pie. The share of national income earned by the top 1% of Americans has increased from around 8% in 1974 to more than 18% in 2007. The top 0.01% of us, or 1 in 10,000 households, soared in annual income from $4 million in 1974 to $35 million on average in 2007. At the same time, workers have seen wages stagnate and even fall. We've gone from prosperity for all to the rich takes all. And why should all Americans care? The income gap between the nation's richest and poorest is the most powerful indicator of a functioning, healthy society. As income disparity spikes, so too does rates of homicide, obesity, drug use, mental illness, anxiety, teenage pregnancies, high school dropouts. You have to wonder, who will stand up to big corporate interests? Who has the power to mobilize millions? Is this the beginning or the end for the American dream? It doesn't have to be. It's time for us to unite and rebuild the American dream. All across the country, workers are demanding good jobs. Good jobs with decent wages are the backbone of our national greatness. The American dream can still be a reality, but they need you. Uncle Sam needs you.
What's your American Dream?
To me, what the American dream is that no matter what your background is, what country you're from, what income background you're from, that no matter what, you can be anything you want to be. And for the most part, I think that's true. As long as you work hard enough in this country, I think you can get where you need to be.
The economy may be tanking, but according to a new national poll by the New York Times and CBS News, the American dream is alive, if not entirely well. If that sounds contradictory, well, it is. On a sunny spring day, we asked some people in New York City for their impressions of the American dream.
I think for me, the American dream is just to have a great family and a great home on the beach somewhere and just have enough means to support myself and my family.
I want to become a lawyer and then I want to be a judge.
Well, I think it's being able to have the opportunity to, meet your dreams, achieve whatever success or however far you want to go in life.
But achieving it is another thing.
I still got a little work to do. I think we all do. I don't think we ever really stop.
I definitely do not think I've achieved that yet.
Less than half of the people in the Times CBS poll said they had achieved their dream. And even for people here in affluent Midtown Manhattan, the longtime dream of upward mobility can be elusive.
When I was growing up in nearby Patterson, an old industrial town, the American dream was that whatever your origins, that if you worked very hard and if you were a little bit lucky, that things would be fine for you and better for your children. It was palpably available to people, and now it's just not.
It was about hope, like that you could build towards the future. You'd save a little bit each year, and by the end, you'd have enough for retirement. You could raise a family, you could put your kids to school, you'd take a vacation, take care of your elderly parents. If you, and the last couple of years, it seems to be like up in smoke or up in credit default swamps.
Here's something kind of puzzling. The nation is in a recession, but the polls showed that more people think they've achieved the American dream now than had 4 years ago. Why is that? Experts say that when times are hard, people shift their definition of the American dream. It becomes more about values like freedom and opportunity, and less about things like material success.
In my opinion, what the American dream is coming here from another country like me and just trying to achieve what you want. There's not so many boundaries, I think, as where I come from Belgium. So for me, that's a lot of freedom, and that makes me happy.
And some people are already living the American dream because their parents achieved it for them.
But I guess for maybe a first-generation immigrant, we have achieved the dream. Other people in our situation in other countries probably would dream to be in our shoes.
This is Catherine Seeley for the New York Times.
I guess if you've become successful in the goals that you've set for yourself, like in society, like I guess my American dream would be to become a forensic scientist after getting out of college for it and stuff. If I've achieved that and don't have any debt and have a family and stuff, I guess I've achieved my American dream.
When your life is perfect and let's say you have a happy family and your life is just full of happiness.
Hi, we're the Berkeleys from San Diego, California.
Holly and Keith Berkeley were definitely on that treadmill. During the boom, Holly's internet marketing consulting company was thriving. She was driven, she says, to the extreme.
With both of my boys, I only took 1 day off after giving birth.
What?
I only took 1 day off, and I thought that that was what you're supposed to do. That's how you get successful.
We're going to do a double bullnose cap right here.
Keith was in overdrive, too, his contracting business doubling in size every year.
It sounds like you guys were living pretty large for a while.
We did. We upgraded to this house, bought it at the top of the market. We bought the big luxury SUV, 3 flat-screen TVs.
The country is officially declared to be in recession.
Then came the crash, and the Berkeley's American dream started to crumble.
I went through a period of time for about 4 months at the beginning of this year where I didn't bring home any money.
The Berkeleys had to make some radical changes. Gym memberships canceled, replaced by neighborhood runs. That SUV sold. Trips to the amusement park with the kids replaced by trips to the backyard.
You fired the gardener. You cut off the cable, even though you have 3 big screen TVs.
3 TVs,
But here's the surprising part. The Berkeleys say the changes they've had to make, growing their own vegetables,
looks good. We can make a salad.
cooking meals at home instead of going out, and having dinner at the dining room table, not in front of the TV, all of these changes have made their lives better.
You actually think your life is better now during the recession?
I think that the recession forced us to reevaluate what's important in life.
How the recession changed the lives of one American family for the better on 2020.
True happiness is not so much as wealth-wise and like having so much money, but like happy with like your family and your surroundings and having, you know, no worries and others, you know, yeah.
So John Zogby, the guy that does the polling, says that through his polling, he has noticed an evolution of the perspectives on the American dream. So first of all, I should note that only 57% of Americans still believe in the American dream. However, the idea of what the American dream is has changed greatly. So before, he says that people who believed in the American dream were traditional materialists. So their idea of the American dream was that you own a house, you have wealth, you have all of these toys to play with, and you live a very comfortable lifestyle full of wealth and happiness. Well, now people who think of the American dream see themselves as secular spiritualists. And these are people who don't necessarily think that you need wealth or materialism, but they think that you need to do something that you love to do for a career and something that will not only better yourself, but better the world. Okay? These are people that are very unlikely to think of America as the best country on the planet. These are people that are likely to travel the world and see a great deal of value in that rather than spending their wealth or their money on material possessions. And the reason why this story inspires me a little bit is because I can relate to it. I see myself as according to this, a secular spiritualist. Because, I'm doing something that I love to do. It's not necessarily something that's making me wealthy. It's not something that gives me all of the material possessions that I want. But who cares? I'm doing something that I feel like is helping to change the world in one way or another, and something that I see a great deal of value in.
Okay, the basic American dream is not to become a statistic, which would be having your kid's father being a drug dealer is one, which is normal for the hood. To be sitting on the porch smoking weed and blunts and conversating with your neighbors who collects an SSI disability check, and there's nothing wrong.
I know that's right, because I got neighbors like that.
Other things would be, you're not working, you're collecting welfare, or if you do work, you're busting your ass, working minimum wage, and you're never getting nowhere.
The Honeymooners.
Hi, Alice.
Check out how the American dream evolves from the mid-1950s when Ralph and Alice Cramden live in a rundown tenement.
Leave it to Beaver.
Just a half-decade later, the Cleavers have a nice suburban home.
Come on, Mom.
That's the way we all became the Brady Bunch.
By the 70s, the Bradys have an even fancier one. Even more luxury in the 80s, with the Ewings of Dallas playing out their dramas in a mansion. Fast forward to this decade, and life is downright decadent on shows like Gossip Girl.
Prior to 2008, 74% of Americans still believed in the American dream. Now that number is down to 57%. People saying, you know what, it's unrealistic. They don't even believe it for a lot of people for their kids, let alone themselves. That's in some ways, of course, very depressing. And part of the reason for that is that they're right. Opportunities are being taken away every day from the middle class for them to be able to get into the upper class. And we got to change that, man. We got to give everybody, we don't have to equalize results. Nobody's saying that. We just have to give everybody a fair chance.
My American dream is not to be poor and living on the streets and not to be a hood rat. That's my American dream, to get out the ghetto. And have money to spend and not worry about that I'm going to be living on the streets or I ain't got no money. That's my American dream.
Do you think that no matter who you are or where you're from, no matter what socioeconomic background that you're from, that you can be as successful as anyone else?
I think that anybody, if you're determined enough and you're motivated enough, you could do anything here in this country.
It is, in a nutshell, the American dream. A dream so big, even those on the other side of the world know about it.
G'day, I'm Chris. I'm from Sydney, and I suppose what we were taught about the American dream is that anyone can achieve it.
The American dream is to come here and make the most of yourself.
Do you think it's still achievable today?
It's harder, but it's still achievable.
Achievable for a few, but the reality, supported by facts both from the U.S. Census Bureau and the facts of life, is that it is most often a cycle repeated. And whether you're born here or here, most likely, that is where you'll stay. Still, some politicians believe it's a matter of teaching those poor people a lesson.
I'm going to continue to find ways to help poor people learn how to get a job, learn how to get a better job, and learn someday to own the job.
Owning the job even getting the job. Harder now than ever.
The whole pull yourself up by the bootstrap model is fake. It's not real.
Especially for those born on the wrong side of the wealth gap. Now, since the 1970s, income inequality in America has been on the rise. But today, it's now at the highest level since the Great Depression. And while the Occupy Wall Street movement has helped shed light on some of the biggest problems, for a lot of people, a good concrete solution is still a long way off.
You're out 100K when you get out of most public universities right now. How are you climbing out of that debt? Especially with a shrinking job market. It's pretty ridiculous.
As I just found out, I just graduated from college with a degree, and I'm working at the same little Thai restaurant that I was working in 5 years ago.
The middle class no longer able to stay in the middle. Never mind rise to the top.
There are a lot of smart people that, because of their situation, aren't living up to what they could be.
And to say that if you work hard and you'll be successful, to say that's true, that's a lie, because if you go to poor neighborhoods, they're the hardest working people on the planet.
Working hard with little chance of realizing an ever more elusive American dream. In Washington, Christine Frizzau, RT.
Without money, can you still have an American dream?
I guess the American dream to me would just be being happy and doing what I love and being with the people that I want to be around.
It would be like the big house with like the kids playing on the lawn and like the husband by your side that you know that you can have forever.
I think mine would probably just to finally be happy with myself.
My American dream was still be rich. That was my American dream, get rich. I'm rich right now because I have my house, my sons, my granddaughters, and I still have my same wife since 1957, Corman, my big love.